This is the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman podcast that deals with the early life of my alter ego, J.R. Hendrick. This episode is in a narrated format, commentary by myself and J.R. Relax and enjoy the adventure. Take care. God bless. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Jimmy here. I gotta say, the fictional podcast is a wonderful highlight of the week. March 9th and 10th of next month of this year is the, for those of you who are entrepreneurial minded, is the, I believe it is the Elevate Convention, or it's Emerge Convention. I'll find out more details and let you know. We do some, get back with you. We gotta do some statistics. The top song of the January 26, 1996 is One Sweet Day by Mariah Carey. I can't say I recognize that. The top movie for that day was Mr. Holland's Opus. Although Jimmy and I didn't hear about it until a couple of years later. Almost, 3 years later. Let's not even think of that forward, JR. I agree. Well, let's get this show started. Okay, so it's the 22nd of January. It's 2 p.m. Kristen is in her biology class, went and been way prep, when she noticed, the boys are staring at her, Can't whistle worth crap, Jimmy. 2 p.m. JR walks up to Nap Hall to see Kristen. He says, I got you a Pepsi at the student union, JR said, when Kristen answered the door. They're having burritos at the Holy Spirit Club. Why don't you come to dinner with me as friends, JR said. I have to make some Anastar phone calls tonight, Kristen said. Honey, that's what the Spirit Club library is for. I'll get your coat. I'm just asking for a friendly date, JR said. I guess the calls can wait, Kristen said. Brent said you sounded lonely for your birthday, so maybe I can help you. Brent says you sounded lonely. That sounded like desperate. Around that time, her friends told me she's looking for a good man. 2:30 p.m. Christine gets in her car with Donna and Jennifer in the back seat. Christine peels out. Behind them, Mercedes convertible is John Henry. What's John Henry doing there? At the same time, Betsy goes upstairs to invite Madison and the kids to dinner, only to find smashed dishes in the fireplace. And Mama, knowing her, she's kind of, what the hell's going on? What the hell's going down? I want to know right now. And Madison says, Kyle wants me to leave him. Last week I found him face down, drunk at the Value Motel. And Betsy's like, oh no. But surely he's not hating or hurting you. And Madison says, well, Mama always covered up for Kyle. That's what always made me mad. Ain't that the truth, JR? Dysfunctional families work like that. And Madison says, Miss Bessie, you're his mother. But there's some things that you don't know. When things don't go away his way for a while, all he mumbles is, I hate my life. Okay, so it's 6 p.m. at Odessa University College. Elizabeth Marie is meeting again with her academic advisor over her thesis. And she's like frustrated. Like, how many times do we have to go through over this? We've been through this before, Elizabeth Marie said. Look, the committee is going to be looking at your full thesis. And here's the problem. Your introduction is light. Your focus is slightly off. This is not some paper that you can just write and then go off to St. Vincent's Pizzeria. Sounds just like this dude just from up north. And Elizabeth Marie says, yeah, and look at you. You're drunk again. What is this? Your 9th glass of red wine? Now the professor's office beyond where Elizabeth Marie and the professor sits, there is some blue and gold carpet with a seal of the Holy Spirit with flowers on the professor's office table. And Elizabeth Marie, she's like anxious because he's just sitting there. And she's like, I got dinner with my family tonight. I want you to remember that next time you want you to take on somebody. Okay, so at that same time, it's dark 30, of course. It's from Lubbock, the Holy Spirit Club. Carmen pulls up in the Lincoln in front of the Holy Spirit Club, and JR and Kristen walk inside. In the kitchen, Mrs. Davidson is cooking a variety of things. One of the main things was JR's favorite burritos, of course. They also had turkey and dressing. Some people up north call it stuffing. When I think of stuffing a deer. Here down south, it's dressing. That's right. And for some of the younger crowd, St. Vincent's Pizzeria. And he walks in into the big kitchen, and she's like, who is this young lady here? And Mrs. Davidson asked that. And JR says, this is my beautiful old friend, Kristen Haig. And she's got this big smile and hugs. It's like, well, welcome to the Holy Spirit Club. We have the best dinners in town. Okay, so it's 6:45 p.m. As Jared is getting ready to sit down for dinner with Kristen, he gets a phone call from his mother. And she's like, I'm really worried about Kyle. Can you please pray? Please pray for him. He's drunk and I'm worried he's going to become an alcoholic. And can you imagine that JR's this point now is kind of like enough. And any brother would be. So at 7:30 p.m. at his dorm room, Brent is getting the internet edition of the Albuquerque Post-Dispatch, thinking about maybe reconsidering the job offer. So it gets to 9:30 p.m. Back in his dorm room, Jared's lying on the bed. Kevin Donald's in the other room, so he picks up the phone to call the Ridgewood County Sheriff's Office to speak to Sheriff Steve Tyler. Steve, this is J.R. Hendrick. Listen, I need you to do me a favor. My brother, who I happen to know, has been hopping around Ridgewood and Odessa, drunk on the way back to the ranch. When he's heading back your way, pick him up. I want you to scare him. So patch me into him once you have him in custody. Okay, so now it's 11 o'clock. So it's a dark holding cell, okay? Kyle's sitting there. It's the Ridgewood County Jail. Now, this is the place where they kept mostly misdemeanor culprits, okay? And in this multiverse. The felonies go to Midland County. This is DWIs and such was the case when the phone in the holding cell came when Deputy Sheriff Rick McGraw patched Kyle into JR. Now, you've awfully done all these years saying I could never beat you. Well, now, look at you. Thanks to Rich and Steve, you're spending the night in jail. And Kyle, he's like all being all pissy. He's like, bail me out. You want to be such a good lawyer? Man, bail me out. And JR, you know, he's wanting to cut him with a knife. He's been holding on to crap for 12 years. He says, talk is tough as cheap, Kyle. Wouldn't be surprised if Madison just ran out on you. You don't deserve me to bail you out. In fact, it's going to be a cold day in hell when I do it. And Kyle shoots back. He's thinking he's shooting back a dagger at JR. He's like, you never gave it down about what Grandma and Granddad needed as far as the ranch. We're okay, JR. You got what you wanted. The hell with you. I don't want the ranch. I'm out. And okay, so Kyle thinks he's taking a jab, and Jared's like, nice to see them, maybe you're going to start waking up and manning up. So maybe Daddy can offer you something better. Because you are sure as hell don't deserve the ranch. And okay, and Kyle's being all pitiful. Damn hell way of keeping a brother down. Kyle. Idiota. I gotta do this. What idiocy. I mean, come on. What idiocy. So Kyle said, so JR, he says, you brought yourself down. And since that's the way you want it, Kyle, that's exactly what you're going to get. Because you get what you pay for. You paid for the prize. And man, knowing Mike Fields, you'll be out of there in the morning. Okay, so it's 9 a.m. next day. At his dorm, JR sitting in the living room making a phone call to Professor Manglery. When he gets off the phone with the professor, he calls his cousin, Elizabeth Marie, at the ranch. And he's like, honey, what is your view of you and Frank being together? I want to help him if I can. I want to keep him in Texas and not having to go to Washington, D.C. And Elizabeth Marie says, JR, but let's we are together. As two intelligent beings. Frank can go back to D.C. for all I care. I also know, through Cousin Joe, you showed up at the Holy Spirit Club for the date. Not to mention Kyle told me that you had him arrested last night. I don't blame you. He had to set himself up. I always vote my shares your way, JR. You're the saint of the family. Okay, that's gotta be the defining moment. JR, want to explain? Elizabeth Marie and I were close. She come down sometime over the summer after I was done with summer school when I was 15. And Daddy made us play Monopoly. And man, she could play. We also did Trivial Pursuit. And she always won her piece of the pie. She must have been trained well for people with disabilities. I guess that's what matters. Okay, so meanwhile, back at the ranch, Kyle has returned from mending fences and goes upstairs to find Madison kindling a fire. Surprised you're here, Kyle said. What do you expect me to do? Give you the ride act? tell you I'm leaving. And Kyle's like, still don't know why you ain't been packing. And Madison's like, do you want to divorce Kyle? So to speak, because I hate my life. You know, I've been tired of Kyle doing this for weeks. And she says, so you think the only way you're not going to hate it is for me to leave and take the kids. And you go to that same bar, chasing that same girl, landing on face down, drunk, all alone. And he's like, you shouldn't like me because I'm such a damn loser. Why don't you just walk out on me? I'm going to stop pretending something I'm not. And Madison's like, she's like, huh? I never asked you to pretend. Call Hendrick family. Ask me to pretend. Especially after Grandma died. I grew just like them. But I don't know. It's all about old, poor, sick JR. Sick, disabled JR. The oldest. I'm such a damn loser. Help me by walking out on me. And Madison's like, you can tell emotions. She's like, I was proud of you, Kyle. Kyle Dustin. Not Kyle Hendrick. I fell in love with a cowboy. I didn't fall in love with a piece of crap gentleman's code going on in the Hendrick family. I didn't fall in love with absent father Jim Hendrick. I fell in love with you. Do you want a divorce? We wait until after the baby's born. And then you make up your damn mind. Woo! Madison told him. Okay, so it's 11 a.m. outside Smith Hall. Brent is talking to his mother. Apparently, and he's like, thank you for talking me out of accepting the position at Albuquerque Post-Dispatch. Opting instead for, after graduation, working at the Lubbock branch of the Fort Worth Times for 6 months to a year. And she says, don't mention it. He says, I felt like it was a good idea to take the job. Because he, like JR, agreed to help him with his paper. So Margie, she's like, I encourage you to think a little bit more like your father. Now that's kind of strange. Does seem like that to me. Bill and Margie Clark. Bill and Margie Clark were separated at the time. Okay, 1 p.m. Christine is back at the house in the Odessa office of Dr. Eggleston. He asked Christine some questions on paper about the family history. He suggested that she find a way to get some information about JR and his medical history before doing the angiographic MRI. Apparently, the medical research would be done in Lubbock, Odessa, and Little Rock. Meanwhile, right outside, as Christine goes to the car, there's John Henry in a Mercedes with his laptop, getting ready to write a blog about the Hendrick family as relate to their medical family history and Jennifer Bowers. Okay, so it's 2 p.m. Kristen picks up the phone and calls her friend Constanza. And she says, I met someone. And we've been real good friends before. But now I don't know. Something different. You've never heard me speaking of J.R. Hendrick. And she's like, you mean the son of Jim Hendrick? The one who says he always makes the lucky deals, but someone always gets cheated? And Kristen's like, come in now. Don't you go telling Mom about what you know about JR. He's not like his father. He's a gentleman. He's kind. And Constanza takes a sip of her coffee. But I bet like his father, once he has you, the cowboy is done with his adventure and he throws you away. Read the papers. If he's after you, he's after a rebound relationship. Be careful. Be careful, mija. 7 p.m. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Madison comes home and goes upstairs to find Kyle passed out on the bed. She covers him up, puts on her coat, and because she drops her kids off at her mother's, and she goes to her car in the driveway, revs it up, and drives to the bar like a bat out of hell. She's feeling out. I don't know if Kyle hears it at all. Okay, so 7:30 p.m., Madison comes charging through the bar as Christina, Kyle's ex-girlfriend, is talking about a better bar in Midland. Okay. So she walks in, and of course, the room gets quiet. And Christine says, okay, so you're a councilwoman. What do you want? You horny sleaze? Turning on my husband. taking him to a motel. And he ends up face down drunk, alone, Madison said. And Christine is like, get out of here. And she says, not without some answers. You're trying to steal my man. So let's just see who's woman enough to keep my man. You dumped Kyle when he was at the bottom of the barrel. And now you come in when he's in the same way again. So she steps up almost in Madison's face and says, want to fight? And Madison's like, how about I pay you $5,000 to move to El Paso? Just learning things, obviously. And so Christine is like, heck with you. And she says, and Madison says, 10 grand to leave the state. Or, how about 15? If you leave my husband alone. And Christina is like, she's like waving the grass, take 15. And Madison's like, let's get down to 10. And Christina, okay, she raises her voice, you're egging the fight. And Madison's like, everybody knows about you around here. In Ridgewood Turf. So Christina throws a drink in Madison's face, and the glass hits a corner of her nose. Madison punched her to the ground, held her down, and kicked her in the nose, knocking her out and throwing $20,000 on the ground. And Bonnie screams, drinks around the madam. Now I gotta tell you something. That was a class act right there. Anyways, I don't like Madison that much, but she proved herself there. Okay, so we go to the 24th. At 8 a.m., Jared had breakfast at the Holy Spirit Club, so he goes to Knapp Hall to visit Kristen. And he says, Kristen's like, I can't believe it. It's almost like this is too much, too good to be true, Kristen said. But I worry that we're moving too fast. And JR takes her hand. Kristen, what we have is not a relationship. It's not a rebound relationship. It's simply friends. That's what this simple gesture across this necklace, a friendly gift, Jared said. So Jared walks out, and guess who's outside Knapp Hall? John Henry sees Jared walk out with a little glint in his eye. He knows they're in on a rebound relationship, possibly again, and because of one person, his fiancee, Jennifer Bowers. Okay, so we gotta have a drink on this, okay? Because, Jennifer Bowers If you remember the story's history, Jennifer Bowers came in the spring of 1995. They had like a friendly dating relationship, but by the fall, we had a friendly dating relationship. By the fall, though, she was my reader, but we were kind of nearing a romantic relationship. And John Henry was trying to find some way to butter me up. There we go, Jared. We have a drink to that. Okay, so it's 8:30 a.m. Elizabeth Marie is in her politics and world order class with an academic advisor. She's getting very uncomfortable with some of the questions that the advisor is asking her and other students. His criticism of her thesis was pulling her in the very uncomfortable position. Now, meanwhile, at the Ridgewood Regional Outpatient Center, Kristen goes through an NGO MRI. So far, nothing had. But they want to keep an eye on her for 6 months. Okay. 8:45 a.m. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Kristen calls Madison with the news and kind of cracks up in the beer. Why the hell should I care about some kind of brain scan? Kristen goes through. Kyle said. And Madison says, I'm keeping you. Don't mess with you. Don't mess with it. I'm taking my last trip to Lubbock during the pregnancy. And when I get back, I expect a family. And not that two-bit Christina. Okay, so it's 9:50 a.m. Kristen is in a history class. And even though it's interesting, her main focus during class was about the fact that the angio MRI picked up nothing. This would be something that I would consider when mending fences. From the first time I actually smoked weed with Charlie Nation. Okay, so it's 12 p.m. Jared walks out of Smith Hall from class from Dr. Harmon when the professor had been raking him over the coals about his belief about judiciary, and other students were making fun of him, as well as sucking. They're sucking up for Dr. Harmon. So Jared's cell phone rings. It's his father. You're taking a liking to the sources that Tim Reiner sent you? Jim said, yes, sir. But Dr. Harmon says that I shouldn't be going to the law library to is all my sources. Says that Dean Robertson is very skittish about that. Don't listen to that fool, JR. Don't listen to that fool. Jack Robertson says he butchers the law in his classes. That's why he says what he says. But he knows you, and he knows me. 12:15 p.m. JR arrives at Map Hall to talk to Kristen. He says, "Honey, you're right. I'm sorry. You know I'm afraid that I'm leading you on. I still want our friendship, but we need a break from each other." And Kristen is shocked. She's like, "Why? We were doing so good. I'll come see you as often as I can. But I have this senior paper that I need to do. I can't help it. Goodbye." Sad. I was sad. 1 p.m. In Advocacy Lab, Christine Murray is helping JR with some of the students work on research for their advocacy campaign. Okay. So it's 2:40 p.m. Eastern. In the Oval Office, President Clinton meets with Leon Drew and Dick Morris. Leon, Mr. President, come on in. How about a lime marita, each one, every one of you? President, I think we should talk. He testified before Congress last week, Drew said. He testified before Congress last week. So, and he's been on the Blake Carter show on the front page of the Fort Worth Times. He's dead to me, Clinton said, putting an unlit cigar in his mouth. The point is, you better pay attention to him. Why? Because he's got every conservative reporter eating out of his hand right now. 3:45 p.m. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Kyle has been milking cows. Suddenly, a pickup pulls into the drive. It's Claude. Kyle dismounts his horse. It's easy to see you straightened up, Claude said. I had to. For the sake of Madison, And the kids, Kyle said, how'd you like a position at HG Oil? $27,000 sign-on bonus. I'll be happy to get off this ranch. Madison will be giving birth soon, so a job in a townhouse will be great. I'll talk to your daddy. You can start in Eastland tomorrow morning at 5. Thank you so much, Claude. Don't mention it. Janet's at home waiting, so I guess I'll be moseying on. He gets in his truck and leaves. 4 p.m. Getting out of his advocacy lab, JR is feeling especially low, so he goes to his dorm room to lay down. 6 p.m. Lasagna was for dinner that night at the Holy Spirit Club, and JR sits down with Brent, C.B. Coleman, and Connie. And Connie says, how are things going, JR? And JR says, nicely. I just finished writing the first part of my paper dealing with abortion. And Brent says, what about you and Kristen? We ain't and don't. We ain't. And don't you get pushing around some rebound relationship. I realize where this is going. Huh? And CB says, well, can't you let go? That's what he wants. Okay, so it's 9:30 a.m. In constitutional law, Dr. Miles is lecturing about the freedom of assembly, 1:50 p.m. Meanwhile, at HG Oil, Kyle is working happily on as assistant foreman at a rig in Eastland, calling Madison and telling her he would definitely be home tonight. Okay, ratings time. I give this 4 12-packs of I give this 4.7 Sprites, a blogger with a laptop, and a dinner date with Kristen. Ditto. Thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoy listening to the J.R. Hendrick Takes and Gentlemen. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, become a part of the adventure. This is James Hendrick Empowerment Network saying until next time, get ready for the rest of the story. It gets a little bit more bumpy from here.